Isn't it interesting how everyone says that you need to learn grammar and memorize words to actually speak the language? Teachers, colleges, students, yeah, they all struggle to actually speak fluently. Is there another way of learning a language? Yes. Hey everyone, Dale here with Nativlo, your favorite English coach, helping you reach your goals in English like a native using the natural approach. If you are stuck in the intermediate plateau and you're sick of using traditional methods like memorization and grammar and you need something new, then this channel is for you. So here at Nativlo, we provide you natural, comprehensible input on a regular basis and weekly practical tips, tricks, and motivation, helping to keep you consistent with your English goals. So if at the end of this video, if this has helped you in some way and given you some value, please make sure to like, subscribe, and click that bell notification so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. In this podcast, in my first podcast on this channel here at Nativlo, I'm going to talk about a little bit about the problems with grammar, the big problems, and another method you can use instead, okay? And this is the answer. Look, if this is, if you know about the method, that's totally fine. Stay here anyway, because we are going to give you comprehensible input or input in general in this video, this podcast video. This is a podcast style video. So please make sure you just follow along. You're going to get lots of cool listening, watching, potentially reading as well, the transcripts. But basically, yeah, we're going to talk about the two methods and why you should focus, even if you know about acquisition, why you should follow the acquisitional approach. I was learning and still am learning, but I was learning. But at the time, I actually was learning the traditional way. With grammar, memorization, all that kind of stuff. And I basically just found it so boring and awful. No offense to people that like grammar, but for me, it wasn't the most exciting thing. And I actually hated it so much that I quit. You know, long story short, I quit. I was always fascinated and excited by French. And the language, the accent, the culture, I guess, as well, the people. So I wanted to learn, and everywhere I looked, it was just grammar rules. Learn this, learn this, learn this. Just learn these rules, learn these words, I guess. Words, grammar rules, whatever. And I just hated it. I tried to learn like numbers, words, days of the week, sentences, and I struggled. And I used Duolingo as well. I don't suggest you use Duolingo. Duolingo is good maybe for the first week or two, but after that, it's just, yeah, it's not good. Don't use Duolingo, please. Anyway, so I used Duolingo and I didn't see any progress. And not only did I not see progress, I couldn't speak. And when I tried to speak, I had to translate, and even then, I didn't even know what I was saying. But more importantly, I just didn't like it. I hated the process of it. And guys, the process is the most important thing in any journey, any skill, any new language, anything you do, you have to enjoy the process. So for me, I didn't enjoy it, and I stopped. I quit. I gave up after about, let's just say 6 months. And roughly 6 months, not even that, probably 3 or 4, I was in so much pain trying to learn French, seeing no results, hating the process. Went away, and then this is kind of where I started teaching. Actually, I was starting to teach. I used to be called a teacher. Obviously, now I say your favorite English coach, which implies that I'm a coach rather than a teacher. But it all started with being a teacher. And I started teaching, and I was teaching grammar rules, all the traditional stuff, right? And students hated it. Students didn't like it. The only thing that I enjoyed a little bit, well, actually quite a lot, and I will be doing that on this channel, so make sure you do subscribe for that, of course. Pronunciation, something I do enjoy doing. I do enjoy teaching, or coaching, I should say. But either way, most of it I hated. I was just trying to teach grammar rules and all that kind of stuff. They hated it. I hated it. They weren't seeing any progress. Neither was I with them. And I wasn't with French either, of course. So either way, I was doing all the teaching, all that kind of stuff. And then I stumbled across or upon the acquisitional method. There's two people, Alice Ayel, this is French, of course, Alice Ayel and French Comprehensible Input, those two channels, okay? His name's Lucas, by the way, French Comprehensible Input. Very simple name, straight to the point, but that's his name, Lucas. He's from that channel. Amazing, very clear. It was all leveled, so I knew that I was making progress. It was such a fun, engaging, exciting way and process of learning the language, which I just fell in love with. I loved it. And that is why I started to transition with my teaching. And that's why I'm still doing this, guys. That's why I've created this channel. That's why I'm trying to build a business, because I'm so in love and so passionate about the acquisitional method. And on top of that, I'm so passionate about helping people like you come from the horrible traditional learning method to acquisition. So I'm very, very excited to share my story here in this first podcast. But this is why I'm still doing this, because I'm so passionate, and it had such an impact on me personally, and then my students, and the 50, 60 years or 40, 50 years of study and research from a guy called Stephen Krashen, who I watched many of his videos and his research papers. Very convincing. So if you haven't, check Stephen Krashen out. But either way, that's my little story. I started incorporating it, and I made such fast progress with French. And I did this really casually, guys. I didn't do this hours and hours a day. I need to do it in 3 months kind of thing. I was just doing it very, very casually. A little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit of listening, a little bit of reading. And lo and behold, within, very quickly, I was able to understand at a really good intermediate level. I was not thinking when I started to then speak. I don't have to think now or translate really when I'm speaking. It just naturally comes out. To be fair, French and English is very similar. So there's a lot of cognates, we call them, similarities, like similar, similaire, etc. Différent, different, etc. But doesn't matter. I still feel this natural flow coming when I speak. And I'm doing this very casually. So I've had lots of progress with my French just by using acquisition, not grammar. I've never learned a grammar rule, but I know loads of grammar rules. But I did it through acquisition, just by input, comprehensible input, right? So I'm doing the same for you guys as well. So that's really the story. That's why I got into this, and that's why I love acquisition so much. So very quickly, I'm going to just talk about why you shouldn't do grammar, a few very quick reasons, and then I'm going to tell you why acquisition is so incredible, okay? So some of the reasons why grammar sucks so much is the first biggest reason is because it literally is boring. Unless you enjoy this, hey, if you enjoy this, great, good on you. But for me, and a lot of people I've spoken to, and a lot of different acquisitional teachers or coaches, people doing the same thing as me, students, clients, my girlfriend as well. She's a foreign student to English. She actually is Slovakian, or from Slovakia, sorry, Slovakia. And of course, I made a video here, by the way, talking about her story. So if you haven't, at the end of this podcast, make sure you do go and watch this. It should be very motivational for you guys. She did it the acquisitional way. She tried to learn, and then she had to finally do it the acquisitional way, and that's where she got all of her progress. And that's her words, not mine. So all these different people telling me, I've had the same experience. Grammar sucks, and acquisition has been the answer to all of us. And this is why I'm doing this for you guys here. So anyway, grammar, firstly, it sucks because it's boring. Okay, for me personally, it's super boring. And like I said, many people feel the same way. And then on top of that, it's just, you're always thinking, you're always editing in your head. You never feel quite fluent, you never feel natural, and that's the biggest problem with this, is you don't feel natural. You just feel like you're translating, you're trying to just recall and try to remember the words, or you're just, you know, just not feeling comfortable when you're trying to speak, and you're always up here rather than in here. Because, you know, in your native language, do you ever notice that? Well, you probably don't, because it's so natural, but in your native language, you're always, when you speak, you're just like speaking. It just comes out. It's just very natural. It's very relaxed. And there's a feeling, there's an urge to speak, especially when you're with someone who you really enjoy talking to. I believe that any language, speaking in general, language, it's an energy. It's a feeling. It's actually music, but it's a feeling. And how can you enjoy that process of speaking and being in conversation and connecting with other people if you're just constantly in your head? It's terrible. It's horrible. It's not what I want to be doing. So that's one of the biggest reasons with grammar, why it sucks so much. But just to keep this podcast relatively short, I'm not going to go on about how bad grammar is for any longer now. There's a few reasons why you shouldn't do grammar there. In this podcast, we want to talk about the acquisitional method. Okay, so the acquisitional method is incredible. It's the subconscious way of learning. It is taking the language in naturally, and literally, this is why I'm creating this video here, comprehensible input. This is the secret to learning a language. Learning a language, it's acquisition, it's comprehensible input, right? That's the key word to know, comprehensible input. This whole video is comprehensible input for you. It's listening, it's reading, it's watching. And then it's understanding the main message. There's two, actually. We have comprehensible input and then comprehensible input plus one, or IE plus one, or I plus one, whichever you prefer. All synonymous. And just getting in the language naturally, subconsciously, and once you do this, enough comprehensible input, like you're getting right now from yours truly, you will start to be able to speak naturally. This has been proven in too many research papers. Stephen Krashen, Steve Kaufman talks about this actually, and he's a massive proponent, so someone who's like a cheerleader, I don't want to call Steve Kaufman a cheerleader, but metaphorically speaking, he's someone who supports. And I'm a cheerleader in that sense. I'm a supporter of acquisition, obviously. And that's it. It's the natural way of going and doing it. It's getting in this input here, like you're getting right now with me. This is the input that you need. And if you understand the message and you're getting the input in, you will naturally start to speak. And that's why I'm making these podcasts, to give you as much awesome comprehensible input, interesting comprehensible input as possible. So acquisition, that's it. Understand the message. It's in context. Never look at words on their own. Never look at grammar rules. Just enjoying, listening, reading, trying to immerse yourself in the language. That is super duper important, everyone. And that's basically it. Acquisition is how you learn your native language. It's interesting, isn't it? Because if you think about when you were born, you don't really know what's going on. You're just kind of put into this world. You just, okay, cool, I'm here now. And then all of a sudden, because you're immersed around the language, whatever your language is, you just naturally start speaking and you're not even thinking. Yes, it's a long process, but it's amazing how it just kind of happens, right? And I think in my experience, it's incredible how I don't remember learning anything in English. And secondly, I don't think, I can speak obviously fluently, obviously, I hope so. But I don't think it just comes out. It's so natural. And it's just this words, they just come out of nowhere. And how did I do that? Comprehensible input. So What do you need to do in order to, and hopefully I've kind of convinced you, if you were unsure or you didn't quite know about acquisition, hopefully now you are very sort of convinced and excited by this whole process. We're going to talk a lot about acquisition in these podcasts. Stay tuned. Make sure you do subscribe at the end of this. But yeah, we're going to talk about different techniques, processes, techniques, exercises, things you can do practically. But the main thing to do today, and hopefully you are excited by this now with acquisition, and you should stay away from grammar. What you can do today, very simply, watch these videos. Watch these podcasts, listen to these podcasts, get as much comprehensible input in every single day. And this is why I'm providing all of these videos here, to give you as much comprehensible input as possible. So let me know down below if you enjoyed this, comment below, and let me know that you want to see more stuff like this. And also tell me your experience that you've had in the past. Is it grammar? Is it memorization? How long have you been trying to learn with acquisition? Or is this the first time you've ever, the first time you've discovered acquisition? Please let me know down below. I'll be really excited to read those comments. If you want to see more podcasts like this, make sure you do subscribe. And if you want to find out the perfect strategy for acquiring a new language or English, then